What if the real reason the Porsche Boxster has endured for decades isn't because of what it is on paper, but because of something far more difficult to quantify, something that doesn't show up in specifications, lap times, or marketing language, yet quietly defines the entire experience the moment you sit behind the wheel? For years, the conversation around the Boxster has been dominated by comparisons. Where it sits in the lineup, how it measures against the 911, whether it deserves to carry the Porsche badge with the same weight. But these discussions, as persistent as they are, often miss a more fundamental question. One that doesn't concern hierarchy or status, but rather intention. Because the Boxster was never designed to win on numbers alone, it wasn't built to overpower, to intimidate, or to dominate in the way many modern performance cars attempt to. Instead, it was engineered around a different philosophy, one that prioritizes how a car feels rather than how it performs in isolation. And that distinction changes everything. At the center of this philosophy lies a decision that at first glance seems purely technical, but ultimately defines the entire character of the car. The placement of the engine. While Porsche's identity had long been tied to the unconventional rear engine layout of the 911, the Boxster took a different path, positioning its engine in the middle of the chassis, not as a statement, but as a solution to balance. By placing the mass of the car closer to its center, the Boxster achieves something that many vehicles spend decades trying to replicate. It reduces the distance between action and reaction. Inputs become immediate, movements become predictable. The car doesn't resist the driver, it responds to them, almost intuitively, as if the connection between human and machine has been shortened, simplified, refined. But what makes this truly remarkable is not the engineering itself, it's the way it translates into experience, because when a car is this balanced, the driver doesn't have to fight for control. There's no constant negotiation between grip and instability, no lingering sense that the car might behave unpredictably at the limit. Instead, there is clarity, a sense that every movement has purpose, every response has meaning. The car communicates not through force, but through precision. And in a world where many performance cars have become faster, heavier, and increasingly dependent on electronic intervention, that kind of clarity feels almost out of place, almost old-fashioned. Yet that is precisely where the Boxster finds its identity, not in chasing extremes, but in refining fundamentals, not in overwhelming the driver, but in involving them. It doesn't attempt to rewrite the rules of performance, it returns to the original idea of what a sports car was always meant to be, which raises a question that goes beyond the Boxster itself. What if the true measure of a great sports car isn't how fast it goes, but how clearly it allows you to feel everything it's doing? If balance is what defines the Boxster's behavior, then communication is what defines its character. Because a car can be perfectly engineered on paper and still feel distant, disconnected, almost indifferent to the person behind the wheel. And this is where the Boxster begins to separate itself in a way that is far less obvious, yet far more important. Because driving at its core is not just about control, it's about understanding. Understanding what the car is doing beneath you, understanding how much grip remains, understanding where the limit is, not when you cross it, but just before. And that kind of understanding can't be forced through numbers or enhanced through software alone. It has to be felt. The Boxster achieves this through something many modern cars have gradually lost: a clear and unfiltered line of communication between the driver and the machine. Every input, no matter how small, has a response. Turn the steering wheel slightly, and the front end reacts with precision, not hesitation. Apply the brakes, and you can sense the weight shifting forward, compressing the suspension, loading the tires in a way that feels progressive rather than abrupt. Accelerate out of a corner, and the rear follows in a controlled, predictable motion, never feeling disconnected from the front. There is no ambiguity in these interactions, no artificial layer softening the experience. What you feel is not interpreted or corrected before it reaches you. It is delivered as it is, and that honesty changes the entire dynamic of driving. Because in many modern performance cars, speed has outpaced sensation. Technology intervenes earlier. Systems manage stability in the background, And while the result is often faster and safer, it can also feel distant, as if the car is doing most of the thinking for you, leaving the driver as more of a passenger than a participant. The Boxster resists that trend, not by removing technology entirely, but by ensuring that it never replaces the driver's role in the experience. Instead of isolating you from the car's behavior, it invites you into it. It allows you to sense the grip building and fading, to recognize the subtle shifts in balance, to correct your line not because a system intervenes, but because you feel the need to. And over time, something interesting begins to happen. You stop reacting to the car and start anticipating it. Inputs become smoother, movements become more deliberate. Confidence builds not from raw power, but from understanding. The car doesn't just respond to you, it teaches you, quietly, consistently, without ever making it feel like a lesson. Which is why, for many drivers, the Boxster doesn't feel impressive in the conventional sense. It doesn't overwhelm you in the first 5 minutes. It doesn't rely on shock value. Instead, it reveals itself gradually. The more you pay attention, the more it gives back. The more you understand it, the more rewarding it becomes. And in that process, the relationship between driver and machine begins to shift, from simple control to something far more engaging, far more personal. Because at a certain point, you're no longer just driving the car, you're communicating with it. And once that connection is established, it becomes very difficult to accept anything less. What makes a car truly memorable is rarely what impresses you in the first few moments. It's what stays with you long after the drive is over, in the quiet space where numbers no longer matter and only the feeling remains. And this is where the Porsche Boxster does something that is difficult to replicate and even harder to explain. Because on the surface, it doesn't overwhelm you. It doesn't demand attention in the way more powerful or more expensive cars often do. There is no single defining moment where everything suddenly feels extraordinary. No dramatic surge that pins you back. No exaggerated sense of spectacle. Instead, the experience builds gradually, almost subtly, in a way that you don't fully register at first. It's only later, sometimes hours after, sometimes days, that it begins to take shape. You remember the way the car responded to your inputs, not with resistance, but with clarity. You remember how each corner felt less like a challenge to overcome and more like a conversation to continue. You remember the sense of confidence that didn't come from pushing harder, but from understanding more. And slowly, without forcing itself into your attention, the Boxster leaves an impression that feels earned. This is what separates it from so many other cars, because many vehicles are designed to create instant impact. They impress quickly, aggressively, sometimes even overwhelmingly, but just as quickly, that feeling fades, replaced by familiarity, then by indifference. The Boxster takes the opposite approach. It doesn't try to impress you all at once. It gives you just enough to stay curious, just enough to keep you engaged, just enough to make you want to understand it better. And in doing so, it creates a different kind of connection, one that isn't based on intensity, but on depth, a connection that grows over time. And perhaps that is why so many drivers, even after experiencing faster or more expensive cars, still return to the Boxster with a kind of quiet appreciation, not because it is objectively superior in every way, but because it offers something that is increasingly rare: clarity, honesty, involvement. It reminds you that driving was never meant to be passive, that control is only meaningful when it is felt, that speed, without connection, is ultimately forgettable. And once you've experienced a car that prioritizes those qualities, it changes the way you see everything else, because you begin to realize that what you're looking for isn't just performance, it's feeling. And that is the reason the Boxster endures, not as the loudest voice in the room, nor as the most dominant presence on the road, but as something far more lasting. A car that doesn't try to prove itself in a single moment, but instead stays with you long after every moment has passed. And if you enjoy stories like this, stories that go beyond the surface and explore what truly makes a car special, don't forget to subscribe. It's the best way to stay connected and not miss what's coming next.